All right, so I'm Adam. This is Tech Dive AV Club, and we're going to be talking about Vegas Pro 16, every single thing it can do. And I want to tell you that we're going to be here a while. This is going to be a big video. And first off, you might be wondering, man, but the price tag, it's a pricey software. Well, yes, it's a professional video editor. It's going to be a bit pricey. It's definitely, I think it sits snugly where it should be in the price range. But I can tell you that there is a very cheap version called Movie Studios, much more affordable, and it does most of what Vegas Pro can do. And if you're new to video editing, or if you have a lot of video editing you want to try, you've never tried it before, or if you've been video editing a while, I've even used Movie Studios for money. So first off, if you're curious about Movie Studios, you can check out my Everything Movie Studios Can Do here. If that's going to pop up there. And then if you like Movie Studios, if you want to buy that through our affiliates link, that would help us out a lot. If you like Vegas Pro and you want the Pro version, then we'll talk about some of the reasons why you would want the Pro version instead. Then if you buy that through our affiliates link, we'd be very thankful, because that helps us out a lot. You don't have to buy it through our affiliates link. You don't have to buy it at all. We're just here to talk about Vegas Pro 16 and every single thing it can do. So, without further ado, here we go. This is Vegas Pro 16, and this is your interface that you're dealing with things. This is your timeline. Your timeline is where you can lay out your clips together. And again, what I'm going to tell you is this is a broad overview. This is not a tutorial. This is not something where we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to do everything, or we'll be here for 40 years. I have lots of tutorials coming out, and I have Udemy videos coming out with how to edit stuff too, so keep an eye out for all of those. But right now we're just talking about the features. So here is your timeline. This is where you can put video down. You can make video tracks, extra video tracks, and layer video on your timeline. You can make as many video tracks as you want. You can do the same thing with audio. You can make as many audio tracks as you want. And audio, is definitely something that you're going to want a lot of tracks for if you're doing it right. So keep that in mind. You can scroll through here. Everything is customizable. You can make these real tiny. You can make them real big. You can even add the different button sets. So we're going to talk about everything in here too, but you can edit visible button sets and add more visible buttons. So for example, if I want the track effects button there, I can do it, and then look, the button shows up right there. So same thing's true on the preview window. Here's where you can watch something. I'm going to go put a picture down here. All you have to do is drag it to the timeline. You can drag it to any part of the timeline you want. And if you want to watch our little picture of our logo, then you can see it right here. And you can see what the preview window is versus what the project is. It's playing in 29.97 frames a second, progressive. And don't get me started on drop frame. So that has nothing to do with Vegas. That's just me and being a video snob. So this, you can get bigger if you want. Boom, you can see it all big. And then you can adjust how, if you're viewing a decomposed version or not. Or you can watch the actual video itself, and this you'll do depending on the bit rate and size of your video that you're editing, and based off how powerful your computer is. So the ability to watch something very big is also very nice. And you can also, get this hamburger menu, edit the visible button set here, where I could, for example, add playback from start, and I could go playback from the beginning of the timeline whenever I wanted, because I can do whatever I want with this software. If you don't want to see anything, you can just exit out here, wherever there's an exit button. Boom, you can kill something. So that was our master audio. That was showing our master audio levels for the project, which were nothing because we had no audio yet on the project. I got rid of them. You can always go up to view, and you can change your view however you want. You can view audio envelopes. You can view video envelopes. What those are is the how much extra information you can see on the video. We're going to talk more about these in a second, but I just want you to kind of have something as a reference of what an envelope is. And you can also see, let's go to view. You can change your view. you can first get back to your original view by going to Window Layouts, Default Layout, boom, you're back to your original view. Views, you can add different things, you can show more things on your window here. Mix Preview Fader, so you can see multiple different whether or not your master and your preview window are the same. So you can actually turn down your preview window but still leave your master up if that's something you're comfortable doing. And then you can go to Window Layouts as well and go to Audio Mixing, and boom, now you got an audio mixing layout where you can see all your audio tracks and adjust them as sliders and more of a traditional soundboard layout. And again, this is not a tutorial. We could talk so much more about all these things do, but you can create automations with these about when they slide up and when they slide down, and you can also turn them on or off on the master as well, whether or not you mute them or you solo them, make sure they're the only thing heard. So that is another great feature. You can also add effects and stuff like that as well. We're going to talk about audio effects more in a minute. Hold your horses. We're going as fast as I can. Okay, so the next thing I want you to see is in Window Layouts is there's a color correcting layout as well. Look at that. That's some beautiful color correcting right there. This gives you some extra tools so that you can see what you're doing. This is a video scope. This is how you would use a color card and correct with a color card here. You can change exactly how you see it as well. And you got always got more and more customizable options the deeper down you go. So, okay, let's go back to Window Layouts. You can even focus on the timeline. You can add extensions to Vegas. There's lots of extensions you can add to Vegas. You can add edit details. You can view whether or not you view the trimmer, quick start, loudness meter, default device explorer, mixing console. That's this right here. But you're not just limited to one. See, you can pull up any of these windows that you need at any time, and you can get all that info. So as we're looking at this, and we're going to go back to the default layout, right? So these are just ones you can create custom layouts as well, and then just pop into that whenever you want to. So I want to, every time I edit like this, I like to see these three things, and boom, you can do it. You can also, for the sake of this video, I'm keeping it all on one monitor, but you can pop out these windows and put them on different monitors as well. So you can have all your tools on one monitor and all your corrections on the other, or your video just on one monitor. There's all sorts of ways you can do that. So now that we're covered layouts, let's move on. So this up here is where you handle your media. You can customize media in different bins and store them in different ways. You can move media to your storyboard bin, and you can actually move it around here, and that'll give you a quick rough edit of what order the clips are supposed to go in. This is great for some run and gun style stuff that you've filmed when you're trying to edit real fast. I don't like it for more complicated edits, but definitely it helps a simple edit go extra fast. So then Explorers, where you can look through your entire computer's files. System transitions. Okay, wow. So I will soon talk about all these transitions, but these are specialized transitions you can add. These are video effects you can add here, and we're going to talk about these video effects, and these are the different media that you can generate yourself, including text, and there's all sorts of neat stuff you can do there. So we're about to talk about that. Again, hold your horses. I can only go so fast. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about some options. So first, I want to tell you that you can change so much about how this works, what different buttons do, and things like that. So you can kind of turn it into, if there's a preset you like, you can that you're used to in another software, you can usually give some sort of setup to make it similar. In video, so what you can do is you can actually change how much RAM is available. You can change how much GPU threads you're going to be using. You can change whether or not you're using your GPU at all. You can change every single thing about how your video preview looks. You can change the preview device. You can change the preview adapter, what adapter the preview is going through. You can change your audio. I always have show waveforms, but this is just how it looks when you edit it. You can import tempos and stuff like that. You can even do some sound editing on this thing. You can use different audio drivers as well, and you can change the buffering, how much buffering you do. So there's a lot of customizability you can do with this thing that makes it a professional software. You can even add VST plugins and search for those VST plugins as well. So all VST plugins will work with Vegas. Alrighty, so the next thing. Ooh, yeah, so these are more customizable things, whether what the loop region does and stuff like that. This, if you don't know this, I can't show you right now, but the loop region is a little bar you can draw on your timeline that can show you that you can do different things with. It's like a selection bar. So this, you can even change the color of your different tracks and what your cursor looks like, and whether or not your video is snapped together. So we're about to get to those as well. So again, I'm trying to run through everything really fast using a strict red book specification for DOA validation. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure what that means, but you can if you know what these mean, then you have the option. Include white or SCSI devices when searching for drives. Yes. So yeah, when you can even include different types of drive types when you're editing. So if you have an editing bay that you use, you can select those and make them part of your Explorer. Generate MIDI timecode settings. Yeah, so you can use MIDI with Vegas, and it can go right to the timeline. External control automation. Wow, so there's a lot here. I've actually never had to deal with the external control automation, but I can tell you that this is here. So if you need to do anything with this, you can. I'll learn what that is and tell you about it one day. But this is a lot of customizability that you might not even need or want. All right, so now when it comes to the actual editing, let me throw on some video. So boom, here is, it says, do you want the video project settings to match this media? I'm going to say yes for now. There's all sorts of reasons you could change that, but essentially it's making sure that the timeline settings and everything's going to match the kind of video you put on there. This is an MP4. Vegas works with MP4s. It works with high efficiency codec. It works with WMVs. It works with all sorts of different audio stuff, including waves, MP3s, and WMAs, and it works with FLAC as well as we'll talk more about codecs that it renders out to and can work with, but you don't have to render to some sort of codec to edit from, or only render out to a specific codec. What you can do is you can actually just edit with everything. You can just, for the most part, if it throws in, you can edit with it. And there's very, very few. Usually the only codecs I have trouble with are ones from like some sort of freeware software. And the freeware software has some limitations on what codec it's using or something like that. And that's the only time I've ever had trouble. Other than that, I can usually throw it in and edit it and send it out, whatever codec I need it to do. And Vegas handles a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to why this is working or why this isn't working and stuff like that. So that's what codecs you can use. You can slide a video in here. You can see its audio here, and you can see its video here. This is the track, and this is the audio track below it, and these are mapped together. You can separate these with this tool right here. This little button right here, it separates them. Now I can move them apart. It'll show you how far apart they're moved. If I click this button again, they stay like that. So then I'm gonna hit Control Z. Anytime you want to undo something, you just hit Control Z. So then auto ripple is really cool, because if you enable auto ripple, I can show you more about that in another tutorial that I have, but this will move the entire track project together. Even if you have this selected, it'll still you can select all affected tracks and margers, and it'll move everything together. So I'm going to hit Control Z a few more times, get it all back to normal, but then I'm going to take auto ripple off. But I love auto ripple. Auto ripple is what makes Vegas to me. Being able to screw up somewhere in the middle of your project and then slide everything over, fix it, slide everything back, and get it all adjusted without having to without having to redo or sit there and slide everything over 3 frames just because you decided you needed something shorter. That is a super helpful thing. So this is automatic crossfade. I'll show you what that does. If you slam 2 videos together, well, let me take this back off again too. If you slam 2 videos together, it'll automatically crossfade them. It does the same thing with audio as well. So you can automatically crossfade your audio and automatically crossfade your video. If you want your audio, see what a crossfade looks like. Let me mute that for now. See, I can crossfade my Korok into another Korok. That crossfade there is just a transition type. We'll talk more about transitions in a second. Again, hold your horses. I'm moving fast. So, the next thing you can do is you can actually create fades. So you don't have to crossfade. You can just create a fade. If you want to grab your clip right here in the corner, your mouse will turn into a fade. You can also change your tool down here. So anything we're doing up here, you can do with one of these tools down here too, if you don't like grabbing a certain part of the clip. So if you don't like doing it this way, you can pick out the specific tool, just letting you know. So if you slide your mouse right here and you see this symbol, that's the fade offset. You can create a fade, and then you can watch your little Korok fade to black there. And then if you slide this back up, then you can watch your Korok not fade to black. You can also fade your audio out. You can fade your audio in. You can change your fade. If you right click, you can hit fade type, and then you can select the different kinds of fades you want, whether or not you want it to be a long fade or a quick fade, and then suddenly like a exponential type curve. You can change the curve type of your fade, and you can do that with video as well. If you just want something to be see-through, for example, let's say I put this up here and I want to see through it a little bit, I can change the opacity with this slider. It's the same thing as a fade, right? The same way you'd be able to see through it as a fade. You can just change the opacity. This is great for creating ghost effects and stuff like that. If you film something twice, you can make something a ghost. For example, if I want this Korok on top of it, I can fade the Korok out as well. Like, there's all sorts of things you can do. Obviously, you can blue screen that Korok or green screen it with a Chroma Key, but we'll talk about that in a second. Again, hold your horses. Gosh. So, we're going to move back down to here. So, another thing you can do is select things with this loop region, and the loop region gives you all sorts of ability. You can loop playback, zoom into the selection. You can just select everything in the loop region. You can selectively pre-render video. You can render out everything in the loop region to a new track in case you have some sort of complicated effect that you want to be done with. Render out and then keep working. Do some sort of lossless codec there. There's all sorts of codecs you can choose when you selectively pre-render as well. But I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. But again, look at all these codecs. Oh my gosh, look at so codecs actually. This is the codecer right here. This is the video codecing engine. But look at all these containers and file types and compressions you can use. Oh my goodness, or lack of compression. So and we'll talk more about that in a second. So then here is the insert region. So you can actually really, these are just markers, and you can create markers that can give you some sort of whether or not your video is going to go here or not. Like these are snap markers, right? So I can create a marker of, like, I need a commercial in this spot right here, and then so when the next person gets to it, they can edit in something right here, and they can snap to it to make sure that it's exactly the right frame. Snapping is automatically enabled, but you can always turn it off if you want some more ease and not hitting the mark. But boom, if it snaps, if something highlights like that, then that means you're frame to frame touching butting perfectly. So snapping is a great way to quickly see whether or not you have a frame in there, because as you're zooming in and zooming out of your stuff, which you can do with the scroll key or these arrow keys right here, being able to see snapping is important, because I've had so many projects where there's been 2 or 3 frames of black, but I didn't know because I was out here editing, and then I moved something and I didn't realize it, and then 2 or 3 frames of black was there. So snapping has saved my butt many a times, more than I can count really. And then so that is the insert region. But then this is a note taking tool. This one right here, boom, I can just say, like, this part sucks. Man, so there we go. This part sucks. You can see right there. Then the split tool is a way to cut tracks right where your little marker is. This is your marker or your slider. You can also split with just the S key. You can split as much as you want. You can delete video with the delete key. And all this works for audio too, the exact same way. And you can grow it right back just by grabbing it on the corner here and sliding it back out. And you can select all these different types of editing tools right here. The time stretch and compress tool, you can actually speed something up or slow it down. So in case this little Korok clip wasn't fast enough for you, we can speed it up. If I hold control to get that squiggly line underneath it, on time stretching, I can slow it down. Look at that. Oh, it's my slow motion Korok. Or I can speed it up. There we go, fast motion Korok. And like I said, you can just select it down here if you don't want to hit control. Shuffle edit tool will move things around for you, so you can swap places, like this really should be first. That way you don't have to deal with any of the butts changing where things have butted up together. And I usually like to keep it on the normal edit tool because you can really get to most of these things pretty quickly just by grabbing the right part of the clip, and that is a very easy thing to do. So now we're going to talk about whether or not you apply something to the track or to the video. So if you apply something to the track, it affects everything in here. So let's, for example, if I go to track video effect, then this just track motion, I want to say, is about keyframing your cropping throughout. So if you want it to slowly pan through, like have a bunch of clips and it slowly pan through on the track, then you can do that. This is not where you do your motion tracking, though Vegas can do motion tracking, so keep that in mind. But this is where you would do a event pan crop for your whole track. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. Again, hold your horses. Bypass motion blur, interesting. So you can turn that on or off depending on what you want for your track. It is off by default. You can go to track effects and you can add any sort of effect, like add a fill light or a starburst. We can talk about all these effects in a second. But first, I want to talk to you about that effect will affect all the clips in that track. If I move this up, it will not be affected by that effect anymore. If I move it down, it will. If you want something to be affected just the track itself, you can hit this button here, or you can just that popped up on my other window there. Or you can go to video effect and drag one down onto it right there, and then it'll be affected by the track. So again, that's a neat little effect, isn't it? You can remove the effect like that. Like I said, this is not a tutorial. This is just an explanation of everything it can do, and I told you we were going to be here a while, so don't be surprised. So that is how you add an effect just to a clip itself. If you did the same thing with an audio effect, you would want to right click the clip with the audio and then apply non-real-time audio effect or apply audio event, and one of them will render it out when it's done and the other one will be a real-time effect. The non-real-time effect will render it out when it's done. The real-time effect will not render it out when it's done. It'll just pretend it's done until you do the final render, and then it will render it out. And then you can see all the different audio effects you can add here. You can add amplitude modulation, chorus, there is chorus flanger, there's reverb, phaser, limit, gate, de-esser. You guys can read these. If you need to read them all, you can pause it, but there's some very important ones like vibrato or volume. There's pan, pitch shift, track compressor. That's a very important one. There's multi graphic EQs. There's dynamics you can do, multi-band dynamics. There's all sorts of audio editing stuff you can do with these effects. and then track EQ as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the track compressor and hit OK, and then it came up on my other screen here, so I'm going to pull it over. This is the track compressor. All these effects usually have some presets in here, so if you're someone who doesn't know where to start, you can usually start with a preset and then tweak it from there. So if I added audio compression, then I could play it and I could see the audio right here. Even though it's muted to you guys can see the levels and how much is being compressed and stuff like that, and that's all really cool. And you can do that for each and every effect that you can do, and I'd be here all day if I showed you every single one, actually more than all day. So we're not going to talk about everything in one. That's just what it looks like. There you go. So then on the track itself, you can also pan something to the right or pan it to the left on what speaker you want it to go through. So you can do a little bit of mixing right here on the tracks. You can also do some volume mixing here, so you can volume up or volume down on the track. And you can also do some auto gain. So do you remember how we did, I'm just going to leave that there because it doesn't matter. Do you remember how we did this fading, this opacity change with, obviously there's black behind it, right? So then it looks like it's fading to black there. But the opacity change with video, you can do a gain change with audio the same way. So if I want my audio to be a lower gain, this is different than volume, this is a gain. If I want it to be a lower gain, then I can change that here, and I can add audio envelopes and do individual ups and downs, curves on the gain for the clip as the audio goes. And you can also copy audio, repeat audio, put it on all these different tracks, and change volume and effects and everything on each and every audio clip through the different tracks. So and they will all be color coordinated appropriately. You can name these tracks as well, by the way. Something I didn't mention is you can add composite modes, where you can do screens and overlays and hard light composite modes, and this is similar to kind of Photoshop kind of stuff you can do. So if we added these together, I could make a compositing child, and then this track is now the child track to this one. So then I could make a composite, and I could do any kind of traction adding, overlay, all sorts of stuff, ways to composite things together. That's different. See, this is a different kind of composite than just the opacity compositing. This is not chroma keying. This is not where you chroma key. This is where you do other kinds of things. For example, if you had fire in front of a black background and you want to get rid of the black but keep all the light, you could do a luminescence filter and actually not have to use a green screen fire, because green screen fire makes fire look green. That's weird, because something that's see-through, like an explosion or something, you'd want to do black and do a luminescence composite, and that would be where you do it right there. So man, you can probably see a lot of stuff you can do. If you're not noticing stuff you can do with this, then I don't know who you are. So again, these I've kept their compositing that I've added. I'm so sorry. I'm coughing right into the mic, and I'm probably not going to edit that out because this video is going to be too long as it is. So now we're not even to the fancy parts where, so let's say, boom, and there you have a crossfade, right? Well, ooh, that's very interesting. So let's create some new media here, because I've jacked it all up. So I'm just going to delete all that, go back to my project media. I'm going to drag this guy down here. This is let me just delete that track right there and delete this track. Got a lot of tracks. Let me start over with a video track that's not been corrupted by me messing with all sorts of random settings the whole time. So, all right, so now there we go. So now what we can do, get these out of the way here, is this is Steven and I talking about using pre-builts and some of the challenges with upgrading a pre-built. I'm going to make a little cut right here, and then I'm going to make a little transition. So here you can see a transition between, let me get Steven's face right there. And then you can, if I want to make a transition between us talking and Steven's face, if I just mash them together, it's a crossfade. Also crossfades the audio, but you can separate the audio, move the audio out, make J cuts with it. If you want to see a J cut, you can just right there, or like there, then boom, you got a J cut. So I'm gonna slide these two things together, and I want to make a little transition, and I don't want it to be a fade. Well, maybe you just want to change the fade type. Well, again, you have a whole little grid of fade types you can do, but maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you want to actually add a transition. Well, then go over here to transitions and get started. There's all sorts of transitions. You can look through, we're going to look through each and every one of these. See, these are 3D style transitions that you can do. They're all displayed here and how they look. Clock wipe, crossfade, dissolve, flash, gradient, iris, linear wipe, page loop, page peel, page roll. These are just presets and how it can be used. Portal, you can customize each and every one of these. Push, slide, spiral, squeeze, the split, sorry. Alright, squeeze, star wipe. It's got all these different star wipes. You can do swap, and again, these are all customizable. Venetian blinds and zoom. So let's go with one of these 3D effects here. We can drop that right here. I can customize how many divisions we have. So if I want to add more blinds, extra spins, I can just add a whole lot of extra spins there. Spectacle light, I'm going to dial that down a little bit, and I can change what direction it's coming from. I'm going to say bottom to top, and then let's give this a look right here. Whoa, that was nuts. But that's just because I added so many extra spins, it kind of gave you a seizure. I'm arrowing with the arrow key. You can go frame by frame, and you're seeing that I'm going to use that effect on something. I've not done that many switches before. I like that. Okay, see, you can customize this stuff into anything you want. How fast it spins, how much you do it, how much the effect lighting changes on it, all that stuff. How long this effect is, I can make it really short. Oh man, what a spasm. I like that a lot though. And again, if you're having trouble playing it, you can pre-render it or whatever you need to do. But Vegas live renders as you go, so if you got a computer that can handle it, you can usually just kind of create your effect and keep moving. So this video is 1080p, and so it's just created a 3D effect on two 1080p videos, and it handles it pretty well. The software itself is very robust. I've got a computer that's fairly strong. Just so you know, editing high-def video, you're going to need... Vegas doesn't need a strong computer, but if you're investing in a high-def editing software, you probably need a computer that can edit high-def video, because the high-def video is really where you need the heavy lifting, and that's where you're going to need at least a mid-grade processor like a Ryzen 5 or an i5 of some sort, and some sort of GPU offloading. Even if it's a cheaper GPU, some sort of GPU offloading will help a lot. Now obviously this is not a video about how to do those kind of specs, but that was just a little free tidbit of information there. We can add video effects, and like I said, we can add this effect to the whole clip right here, all the video, or we can, oopsie, see I deleted my, you can just go to window layout here, default layout, boom, it's all good. So we're going to go to video effects. I had like full screen my video effects, which is something you can do if you want to. There's all sorts of great things you can do with this. With the 3D stabilization, 360 stabilization, you can stabilize 360 video, or you can stabilize normal video with video stabilization. With stabilization, this is a different one. You would actually apply it to the project media itself. So I would right click on the project media, and I would go to add effect, media effect, and then I would select video stabilization, add, and then right now I'm going to remove it because I don't need it on the little Korok there, but that is a way you can add video stabilization. So you can, it actually works very well. You can take some video that's got a shaker to it, or video that you've been walking with and you just don't want it to be quite as sickening inducing, then simply do that. The add noise effect is great because it adds grain and noise to everything. Like I said, if I add it to the track, it adds it to everything, both clips. Gotta exit out of that. But if I want to take it away from the track, I can remove it. If I want to add it to just one of the clips, I can add it right here. Every single thing is customizable. I can add a lot of noise or a little bit of noise. I can change the type of noise I'm adding, whether it's got like color noise in it or it isn't color noise, or whether or not the noise changes over time. So anytime you see animate here, you can create keyframes and then animate how often, like if the noise gets better, if the noise gets worse, if the noise keeps oscillating. You can create all those with keyframes on the clip itself. So I'm going to remove that right there, then boom, that's how you would do that. Now everything is kind of like that. So auto looks is using lookup tables, and you can do things like Winter's Coming. I'm assuming that's Game of Thrones kind of look. It will add kind of that bluish color that you're used to in Game of Thrones. This will work well if you already have a really good white balance and you haven't done any kind of color lookups yourself. And you would really just kind of add a slight, you wouldn't do the full strength of it, you just add it a little bit. It would help kind of get your colors to get that centralized look. So if you're trying to copy a look, this is a great place to start. And it's got Bates or masking. Now this is really cool because Bates or masking is actually how you do 3D motion tracking, and that is going to be a whole tutorial within itself that I'm working on right now. So with Bates or masking, just know that you can create a piece of the video that moves around and track it, and then you can track text to it to where text will follow you around, or you can track a video to it where a video will follow it around, or an effect. You can also track an effect that way. So like if I wanted to blur Steven's face out, I could track it to where it blurs his entire face out. In my masking video, I said it can't track masking just yet. I don't think it can track the masking just yet entirely, but you can do some masking with obviously base or masking. So that is a lot of ability right there. Black and white, obviously you can take the color out of it. Black restore is great. That's a way to make your blacks black again if they've had this kind of bled out look to them. Border gives things a border. Brightness and contrast will obviously change the brightness and contrast. You can add broadcast colors, so if I'm concerned about something being ready for broadcast, I can throw this effect on here and it can set things up to make sure that they're broadcast ready. So if I got a commercial going on TV, it kind of neutralizes the colors a little bit, so that way something's not going to get a funky color on someone else's screen. But that maybe is not something you're trying to do. It's not as big of a deal on YouTube. So bump map is where you can do different spotlights coming in. So there you go. You can move it around, change the intensity. Again, we can't go through each and every one of these. Channel blend would add different colors, so it can give you that, it can just change what color you're seeing, what color that the video recorded is showing through. Chroma Blur will blur certain colors. Chroma Key. So this one's really conveniently here. I have a Korok. I can throw this Korok on another track. Hang on, let me right click, insert new video track, slide this guy right up here, slide this guy. Hang on, let me just select only my audio track, move that down. Oh, that's funny, I copied that. Anyway, so there, I'm trying to rush around for this video, I'm sorry. So if I want to do a Chroma Key, I can go back to video effects, I can go to Chroma Key, drop this on here. Now this one's pretty simple, it's just a blue screen effect, so it works almost perfectly the way it is. But if I take the effect off, I grab this little dropper here, I grab the blue. Because it's a solid blue, you don't have to do any adjustments, but you can do a whole lot of adjustments and show the mask and things like that to do some detailed blue screen. I have all the details in my editing tutorial, where you can change all this stuff right here. So this, again, is not a tutorial. I just want to show you that it has that capability. That's a lot of fun. So color balance. Wow. Color balance. This is where you would change whether or not you're just adding some blues or greens or stuff like that. Color corrector is really where you'd fix your white color and color. You can color correct your secondary, do a little bit more detailed work. Color curves is where you can deal with color with a curve effect. As you know, like this thing right here that you see. If you don't know how to use that, don't use it because you'll mess it up. So color match. This will help you match different types of feels. So if I want things to feel like a morning sunrise, I can use this to kind of get a source clip and kind of try and get these colors to match each other, which is something that would be very helpful in a video that I did a long time ago that I did in another software, and I wasn't able to do that. So Convolution Kernel, boom. I'm just gonna let you see these real quick. Cookie cutter, you just cut different pieces out of the video. You can put other pieces on it, make things see-through. Crop like that. See this little checker tile? I just want you to know that you can do things like if I have a PNG where the background's been cut out, you can put that in there. In event pan crop, you can change the aspect ratio of something. You can zoom it in, cut it out, or whatever. You can move where it is on this screen, and you can even change the opacity with it as well, so you can make a watermark. That one wouldn't be very good because it's not got a bold color behind it. We'll talk more about this when it comes to media generators. So back to video effects. I just want you to know that when you see these little checker bars, that's the way it says that it's got a transparency. So you'd be able to see the bottom half through to the other track or whatever on these cookie cutters or crops. So then that's cropping right there. Cropping would be how you take out part of the video, but you can do some cropping here with this event pan crop tool. And all this stuff can be animated. So if you want the crop to fly around, dance, and move sideways the entire time, you can make it do that. Defocus, obviously. Deform. Dual fisheye stitching. Fill light, film effects, film grain, Gaussian blur, glint, glow, gradient map. Hit film is something that comes with more stuff, so I'm not going to go over the hit film things because you may not have hit film with your install, but you can always get more is really what I should say about this. HSL adjust, invert, lab adjust, layer dimensionality, lens flare, levels. Oh, I use levels all the time. Levels is my bread and butter here. This is where you can always adjust the size of these windows too. Levels is where you can change, and you can animate all the stuff as well. Anytime you see a clock, that means you can animate it, but you can change how dark something is, how bright something is, do some manual contrasting stuff. Obviously, when you're just adding some rinky-dink effects, you're going to make it look worse instead of better. But you can always make your stuff look better with these things. So light rays, linear blur, lookup tables, mask generator, median, min and max. Whoa, look at that, see? Mirror, newsprint, picture-in-picture, which is like a crop or cookie cutter, but more specialized for picture-in-picture. Punch, pixelate, quick blur, radial blur, radial pixelate, raise, saturation adjust, scene rotation, sepia, sharpen. Right, so have you ever done that in Photoshop? Well, you can do it here too. So smart upscale. Ooh, smart upscale is great. I used it on that Korok right here. It was kind of blurry because it had been screenshot. It had been taken from Switch video, then put on YouTube, then pulled down from YouTube, and then I had some artifacting there. This got rid of the artifacting, I think, pretty darn well. It was that effect right there: smart scale, smart upscale, smart zoom, smart soft contrast, Cepharize. I think that speaks for itself there. Starburst, Stereotropic. Again, these all can be animated and adjusted and customized. Threshold, Timecode. You can add different types of timecode to your video and let you see or show someone else what the timecode is on your video. Tiny Planet. This is where you make something look like a tiny planet. Also would be very helpful for a 360 video. You can use these effects on your 360 video, by the way. TV Simulator, bad. Oh yeah, this edits 360 video. Again, something else it can do. It can edit 360 video. I haven't been editing 360 video because I have a 360 video camera, but this in fact has a lot of support for 360 video. We already talked about that with this 360 video stabilization. I just should have made a bigger deal about the fact that it edits 360 video. Unsharpen mask, video stabilization. Again, we already talked about that one. Vignette. You can do this with cookie cutter or cropping effects, all sorts of stuff. This is a quick, easy way to add a nice vignette to your video. Oh, that's fun. That's a really good. See, I got the vignette there, and he jumps out of the vignette. I like that. We're gonna watch that again. It's a little Looney Tunes kind of thing there. So again, you can see how combining these things can let you really do a ton of stuff. Wave effects, white balance, boom, and that is from the all category. So all these there have been hit here. And that's all the video effects. For media generators, this is a little simpler. Checkerboards you can throw in. Noise textures, you can animate these noise textures as well. So you want to kind of zoom in on these if you want to, and then you can move across it like that, and then you can, and like this is how animation works for everything. You can animate everything. We haven't even talked about masking yet, so hold on there. Gosh, I keep telling you, hold your horses. And you can, ooh, this is the event pan crop. So I'm in the wrong thing. Let me exit out of that. Sorry, I'm trying to move so fast. Let me show you event pan crop, something that makes a little more sense. So right here, if I want to event pan crop, I can hit this little button right here, or I can right click and select it. Again, all the stuff you can do. Event pan crop, you can zoom in, zoom out, like I was telling you. But if I want to mask, I can hit this mask button here, and then I can cookie cutter out my own little, and this is only Vegas Pro, this is not Movie Studios. I can cut something out, and I can animate that cutout to change over time. So then, here we go. See, oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Obviously, this is becoming a nonsensical mess because I'm just throwing effects everywhere, but it's showing how much different things you can do with this. Sorry, so this button is what I meant to click earlier. I had clicked the event pan crop, and this button is where you can edit your media generators, and so it appeared on my other screen. You can change the color of it. You can change the number of layers it has, so like how fractaling it does it. So fractal turbulent, fractal smooth, fractal jagged lines, right? And then so you can just create kind of a texture, and you can animate all of these things like I just showed you. You can just change things over time, so that's cool. You can do light flares, noise texture. Wait, oh, we already talked about that. Sorry. Protiler. That's going to be a little different than, like, this gets rid of your this gives you like a safe area to edit with. Right, this puts on your safety things. I need to edit that part out, but I'm probably not going to because this video is so long. I got to keep moving. So solid color, you can add in colors. Boom, you got a color. You want it to be a different color. Okay, now it's a different color. So text and patterns, you can give yourself your empty bars. Boom, you got them. If you want them to be gradient, you got it. White pouches, you got it. Yellow pouches, you got it. Color bars, you got it. All sorts of awesome things there. So titles and text, look at that. You can create these animations yourself, or you can tweak these animations they've already made. For example, if I want to put rough day here, then boom. See, you can see through rough day. You can change the text color to be see-through, or you can just make it blue, or whatever you want to do there. You can animate each and every one of the things, whether or not slowly becomes see-through or is see-through all the time, or if it's got a background, if it's got an outline, if it's got a shadow. I'm making a gross mess here. I'm sorry, but I am. Outline color, I'm going to make that black. Enable shadow. Boom, now it's got a shadow. So boom, that shadow. It's having a little trouble now because it's actually having to track the shadow and the lines with the words that are animating across the screen. You can tweak that animation, make your own animation if you just want. You can make your own presets with all this stuff too. You can make all of your own presets if you want to just do that. Or if you just want normal text, you can do that too. And again, I don't know why I'm sliding everything on the same thing. I'm going to insert new video track, and then boom, I can make my own sample text there. And then any text you have installed to your computer, you can use. For example, this fancy Hylian text I've used before. I'm going to highlight this here. Go boom. Go to... Obviously, Windows doesn't come with a Zelda text. You might be able to tell I'm a Zelda fan. So this little Zelda text here, I now have it on my screen there, and I can move this around here. I can track that. I can bold this. I can do all the things you expect to do with text. You can, and furthermore, you can add effects to the text. You can crop the text. You can do all the same stuff that you can do with everything, and including editing your visible button set. So all this stuff just layers. So if you're like, I wonder if that thing he showed me here works on this other thing. The answer is probably probably does. This is legacy text. This is how it used to work in the older Vegas, if you're used to that. It still has it, but this is the new titles of text. You can do all the same stuff in both of these. This is a little more robust, obviously, because it's newer. And that is not everything yet. I said hold your horses. We still got more we can do. So I'm going to add an audio track here, and let's just say I want to go ahead and record to the audio track. I'm going to edit visible button set so you can see it, but I'm going to add this arm for record and hit OK. Now you can see this arm for record track, and let me create a new audio track. Alright, that was getting messy, so I went ahead and exit all of that out, and we're going to start with something clean here. So I want to show you how I can just record straight to Vegas itself. So if I want to record to straight to Vegas, you can make this button visible by just hitting Edit Visible Button Set and Arm for Record, or you can just select Arm for Record here. Recording input, like automation settings, Arm for Record, so then it's going to say users, Adam, documents. That's where it's going to save my recording. In case you didn't know, my name's Adam. So here you can see that's the ground floor. This is me talking. So I'm going to hit this button right here, and then it's going to let me record, and then I'm going to hit this button right here, and it's going to say you've just made a track, yay, and then you can listen back to it. See? Boom, like that. There you go. You can record right to Vegas using any mic that you can get connected to your computer, and your computer can recognize it as a mic. You can do that. So you can also group video together with the G key, or you can also make video envelopes by selecting lots of videos without moving them at all. So let's say I had two audio. I'm going to make another thing audio here, and then I want that to be done, and then I want these to sync together every single time. I can just highlight this, and then can hit the control key, highlight this, and then hit the G key, or right click and hit group right here, but I'm just going to hit the G key, and then boom, you can move that around like there. If I want to make it mono instead of panning left, right, or center, I can actually right click this here, and I can, I can reverse it. That'll be interesting. Let's reverse it. Yay, I can reverse it. Then I can also take this one and I could synchronize it, or I could go to channels and I could go to combine, and then boom, now it's a mono channel. Man, I like messing all this stuff up. So now these are grouped together and insane. Obviously these are start from the beginning, play, pause, stop, go to start, go to end, next frame, next frame. These are just tools to do stuff I've already showed you, or loop playback. And so these are all very helpful little items here. See, if I make that in loop playback, then I can just, and then as soon as it gets to the end of that line, it's going to start over. So if you want to watch something over again and make over and over again and make sure it's right, that's a way to do that. You can always turn off things that you arm for record. You can arm multiple tracks for recording at a time as well. And we're still not done, guys. We're still not done. So you can scrub through video down here by just, again, this works for video and audio. You can go backwards. So that's your scrubber. You can also change the rate. This does not change what it renders out as. That's how we showed you earlier, how to actually speed something up or slow it down. But if you just want to watch it back faster and not affect the final render, you can change the rate in which you're watching and editing. So, for example, I had to edit a whole bunch of stuff, just like live video capture, and I had to just like watch it all and edit like an hour's worth and just make sure that everything was fine in the video. And so I would watch it at like 4 times speed, and then boom, I'd be done. So you can also zoom this out here too if you want a little more control over the exact rate. Like I said, this whole thing is customizable. So, right here, you can preview to an external monitor. So that's gonna be tricky to fix because I'm recording on this, so it's not very happy. So let me. Okay, there. Okay, and this is how you would select things or zoom in and look at it, but we've already talked about those with this right here. That's how you do it. So we're going to go back to project media. I'm going to slide some more things back on it, some stuff to work with here. And then we are getting there, guys. So if you just throw in a video there, you only get a video. You can add an audio track if you want. I don't care. So we're getting there. We've already talked about auto ripple, timecode. We've already talked about checking for software updates, things like that. We've already talked about window layouts. I think we're getting there, guys. Obviously, you can clean up pre-rendered video. You can render to new track. We talked about that. You can add extensions. You can actually create scripts where you can do batch rendering and remove letterboxing and do all this stuff in an automated fashion. Something that being a pro is you definitely want. You can do multi-camera editing as well. Enable multi-camera editing. You can actually bring in a multi-camera video track and edit in a multi-camera style where the camera's playing. So I don't have a multicam project to show you this on, but you can do multicam editing. It is possible. So if you've seen it before, you know what I'm talking about. It's where you see all the different cameras and all the different camera and audios together, and you can jump from camera to camera like you're editing a live with a video switcher, except you're not editing live, you're editing video that's already been taken. So then we've already talked about customizing. Ooh, advanced save. You can actually pick exactly where everything and every little piece of it is saved in your project. So if you have like a studio house you're working in and you want certain things to go to a network drive and certain things to go to an internal drive and or things to archive on a regular basis, you can definitely set that up as well. And now we are getting closer to done. Let's talk about rendering. So if I select that right there, I can go to File, and then I can go to Render As, and or you can do a real-time render, but real-time renders is just audio. You can go to Render As, and then you can go to Look at this image sequence. You can render things out as an image sequence and put them into Photoshop or your favorite photo editor, and then edit all those images in sequence, and then bring them back in here as a bunch of images. But if you make them all one frame again, boom, you got you can now export and import things as photos. This is an audio. Wait, no, sorry, this is not audio. This is I don't have the audio options because I don't have any audio. Hold on, let me make some audio. Insert audio track. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now I have audio. File. Render as. Now I have audio options. Okay, so you can do AAC audio, A-track audio, and then all the different formats there. These are just pre-filters, right? You can always go to Customize Template and change exactly how this stuff works, what the bit rate is on everything. Same for AIFF, same for Dolby, A3-C, FLAC, image sequence. Again, you can always customize the templates and change exactly what you're doing. Magic sequence. So these are the different sequences right here that you can do. Standard MP4. You can. This is the MP4. That's not the high efficiency video codec. This is the more traditional MP4 that YouTube uses, and you can change all this stuff right here. Audio, system, project. You can change all this stuff for these presets, and if it says AMD or NVIDIA next to it, it's going to use your graphics card to render out. If it doesn't, it's going to use your processor to render out. So that's cool. If you have Intel integrated graphics, it'll say Intel next to it, and then it'll use Intel to Intel QSV. It'll use your Intel to integrated graphics to render that out. But I don't have an Intel processor. I have an all AMD build, so I'm not gonna be able to display any of that here. But you're gonna be able to render any of that. You can save your custom templates that you like. You can it's got intermediate, MPEG 1's for legacy stuff, MPEG 2 for your DVDs if you're still burning some DVDs. It's even got a software that it works hand in hand with called DVD Architect, and you can create stuff exactly for DVD Architect where it does not have to compress it again before it puts it on a DVD, and it makes your DVDs look extra nice. MP3 audio obviously is MP3 audio, and again, all those are just presets. You can customize all of this stuff. Panasonic, it comes with some. So these are Panasonic camera basic format, so you can render stuff out lossless from your exact camera format. Sony, different typical Sony camera formats. A lot of Sony stuff that's software used to belong to Sony, so a lot of Sony different codecs here. Sony Perfect Clarity Audio, Sony Wave 64, more audio codecs. Again, you can all customize all the stuff customizable. This is the kind of format my camera uses. It's one of these down here. And then video for Windows. Obviously, you can do these different kinds of NTSC videos and PAL, and you can customize all those, and more wave. So these are different wave outputs you can do for your audio, and all customizable. WMVs, WMAs, and XD-Cam. XD-Cam's a real nice camera. I've used an XD-Cam before. I liked it a lot. I still miss it. And again, you can customize all these templates as well with your render options. I always have rendered loop region only. However, you can render the black of the timeline as well if you want to remove that. You can stretch video, you can letterbox, you can do whatever you need to do. You can change exactly where this is going to save, and you can change the name of it, and even tells you how much free disk space you have. If you hit project location, it'll change it to the project location. That way you can render out to the same folder that you've done the rest of your project in. You can always just move the whole project folder to another computer as long as all your files are there, and it will render. It'll pick up all your files exactly where you left off. If you're missing something, you can scan your whole computer to find it, and it'll find it for you. I've done that 100,000 times before I learned how to organize my own files. And there's also these settings as well. These are preset project settings that you can do where you can change exactly how... Sorry, that was my phone. You can change exactly how all of these things work. So, for example, the types of interlacing you want to use or not interlacing that you want to use for your project media for your preview window. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my mind. I've been talking for a long time, guys. So you can change exactly like the sample rate of your project and when it renders out, like what you're actually hearing before you do any rendering or anything like that. You can change your ruler format, right? You can get absolute frames, drop frame, whatever. You can change your summary to make sure that any project settings comes out with the right sub context there, and you can even change your audio CD cataloging numbers off of your properties, and you can preset all these as well and change where it saves a lot of the app data like stuff too. So if that isn't customization, I don't know what is. You can even change how detailed the pixel formatting is. So let's make a new project. That's save project. I think that's everything. I still probably missed something. And we know we talked about 3D video and compositing, and we talked about the different effects, and we talked about layering, and we talked about automations and batching, and we talked about audio capturing and audio effects and leveling and mixing. We talked about a lot, guys. If this video helped you out, please like. If you want more videos like this one, please subscribe. Every single time a new Vegas software comes out, I have it, and I do another video on it, as long as Magic stays my friend. When I say Magic's my friend, they send me the software. That's it. That's the only affiliation we have, that, and they let me get a kickback if I sell you the software through my affiliates link. I love the software. That's why I signed up for that program. I love the software, and I hope that you do too. If you decided you do want Pro or Movie Studios, if you will buy them through my affiliates link, I would be super happy. That would be super helpful to me and Steven and the channel. But if you don't, that's fine too. I appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe if you're looking for more videos like this one. This has been Adam talking about Vegas Pro 16. I'm gonna go lay down now. And then my phone is buzzing because, surprisingly, this whole time I didn't put my phone on silent. Anyway, bye.